The day I heard my best friend laugh in my husband's voice, that was the day something inside me quietly snapped. I remember that sound like it was yesterday, a soft, breathy giggle that didn't belong to me, floating down my hallway like perfume someone sprayed without permission. It was the kind of laugh you only give to someone you feel safe with, someone you love or want to love. And it was coming from my kitchen. At first, I froze. I had a grocery bag in my hand, almond milk, a carton of eggs, and strawberries I planned to use for a little dessert that evening. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday. Nothing special. Nothing suspicious. Just a regular day in my regular life. But that laugh. Lord, it rearranged something in my chest. I didn't rush. I didn't creep. I just stood there listening. Like my whole body was waiting for the truth to reveal itself without me having to walk into it. Then I heard his voice, my husband, Darius.
Warm. Low.
Comfortable. Comfortable in a way he hadn't sounded with me in a long time. Girl, stop, he said playfully. And there was that laugh again, a little too flirty, a little too familiar. I stepped forward, slow and steady, until I reached the corner, where the living room opened into the kitchen. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like my pulse was in my ears.
And I saw them.
But they weren't touching. They weren't doing anything wrong, not physically. Still, something was off. My best friend, Camille, was leaning against the counter eating a slice of the pound cake I baked the night before. Her hair was curled the way she always wore it when she wanted attention. The kind of curls that bounce when she laughs. Darius stood opposite her, holding a mug like he had just poured her some coffee.
My coffee.
In my house. In the middle of a workday, when she had no reason to be there. The air felt thick, like I had walked into a secret that wasn't ready to be caught. But both of them looked up at the exact same time when they heard me set the grocery bag down. And just like that, the laughter stopped. Everything turned still. Even the dust in the sunlight froze. Hey babe, Darius said, smiling too quickly. Too forced. Didn't hear you come in? Camille wiped the corner of her mouth, her eyes wide for a second before she smoothed her expression into something friendlier. Oh girl, I was just in the neighborhood, she said. In the neighborhood. But she lived 35 minutes away. I didn't react. I didn't accuse. I didn't flinch. Because sometimes a woman knows. Not from evidence, but from energy. And the energy in my home had shifted the way a room shifts when someone steals something, even if it's small and hidden. I didn't know the full truth that day, but the crack had formed. And once something cracks, all it needs is time and pressure before it shatters. Back then, before everything unraveled, my life looked calm from the outside. Quiet. Predictable. I lived in a modest two-story home in Charlotte, the kind of place where neighbors wave from their porches and women walk their dogs in matching tracksuits. Not rich, not poor, just comfortable. Darius and I had been married 10 years. 10 long, complicated years. We were that couple everyone thought was solid. Stable. Steady as a church pew. But steadiness can be a dangerous thing. Because sometimes it means you're no longer moving. He worked in IT, which meant he was always on his laptop, even at home, tapping away while I cooked dinner or folded laundry. He wasn't a bad man. Just distant. Often tired. Often somewhere else in his mind, even when he was on the couch, right next to me. We didn't argue much. But we didn't laugh much either. I used to wake up some mornings wondering when we had quietly become roommates instead of lovers. But I told myself that's just marriage. People change. Life gets busy. You push through. You stay grateful. As for Camille, she had been in my life since college. My ride-or-die friend. The one who showed up with soup when I had the flu. The one who held my hand at my mama's funeral. The one who always had something sweet to say when I was feeling down. But Camille was also complicated. Honey-sweet on the outside, sharp as glass on the inside. Beautiful, light-skinned with hazel eyes, the type of woman men paid attention to even when they didn't mean to. She liked compliments a little too much. Liked attention even more. But I always chalked it up to insecurity. Or childhood wounds she never healed. I never thought she would hurt me. Not her. Not the woman I trusted like a sister. So when she started coming over more often, dropping by unannounced, staying longer than usual, I didn't question it at first. I thought maybe she was lonely, or bored, or simply craving company. But slowly, things shifted. She started dressing up just to stop by. Started telling Darius jokes she never told me. Started complimenting him more than she complimented me. And Darius, Lord help me, he soaked it up. He didn't flirt. He didn't cross any lines. But he warmed to her in ways he hadn't warmed to me in months. They talked more, shared more, laughed more. And I started feeling like a visitor in my own marriage. Still, I ignored it. Because when you've known someone half your life, betrayal is the last thing you expect. But that laugh, the one I heard that Tuesday afternoon, it planted a seed I could no longer dig out. And life after that moment was never the same. After that strange Tuesday afternoon, nothing in my house felt settled anymore. Not the rooms, not the air, not even my own heartbeat. I tried to shake it off, told myself I was overthinking, being dramatic, imagining things that weren't real. Black women do that sometimes. Silence ourselves before anyone else can. Train our instincts to sit quietly in the corner, even when they're screaming. But the truth is, when intuition knocks, it don't knock twice. And mine kept tapping on my shoulder every single day. It started with little things. Darius began taking longer showers. Not suspicious long, just thoughtful long. Like he was washing something off him he didn't want me to see. He started putting extra cologne on before leaving for work. He stopped sitting next to me on the couch. Stopped reaching for my hand. Stopped asking how my day was. At dinner, our conversations grew thin, like soup stretched with too much water. How was work? Fine. You eat lunch today? Yeah. Everything okay? Yep. And that was that. 10 years of marriage condensed into 4 dry words. But the biggest shift came from Camille. Lord, she became bold. She started texting me less, but texting Darius more. At first, it was harmless stuff. Hey, can you remind Mia about Saturday? Tell your wife I'm running late. Send her this recipe. Things a friend might send. But then it became, you seen this meme? Face with tears of joy. Darius, you won't believe what happened to me today. Tell me why I thought about that joke you told last week. And the worst one. The one that made my stomach twist. Don't tell Mia I said this, but baby, anytime a woman says that to your husband, something is not right. I asked him about it. One evening while he was sitting on the edge of the bed scrolling through his phone, I leaned against the doorway and asked casually, you and Camille texting a lot these days? He didn't flinch, didn't look up, just shrugged.
She just needs advice sometimes.
You know how emotional she gets. Emotional. That word left a bitter taste on my tongue, because that wasn't the Camille I knew. She was bold, confident, flirty. She wasn't leaning on anybody emotionally unless she wanted something in return. But I let it go, at least out loud. Inside, something had already begun unraveling. The moment that really shook me came on a Sunday afternoon. I had just finished meal prepping for the week. Grilled chicken cooling on the stove, rice steaming in the cooker, roasted veggies spread across a tray. I was wiping down the counter when I heard a faint vibration against wood. Darius had stepped outside to take out the trash. His phone was still on the dining table. It buzzed once.
Twice.
3 times. Not a call. Text messages. Rapid ones. I didn't move toward it. I didn't touch it. I just glanced at the screen from where I stood. Camille's name. 3 messages back to back. And then, a 4th message popped up, longer this time. I stared at that illuminated screen like it was a burning candle I wasn't supposed to look into. My hands went cold. My breath went shallow. Another buzz. Another message. Another from her. I couldn't see the full messages, just the first few words. Last night, I can't stop thinking, did you tell her? When are you coming back so we can? That was all I saw before the screen dimmed. My legs felt weak. My throat tightened like I had swallowed a stone. He walked back inside just as I was backing away from the table. He smiled, a soft, tired smile, like he had no idea the ground under us had shifted. "Everything okay?" he asked. I stared at him for a moment. A long moment. I wanted to scream.
Cry.
Throw something. Ask him what the hell he thought he was doing talking to my best friend like that. But I didn't do any of that. Instead, I wiped my hands on my apron and said, "Yeah, dinner will be ready in 10. He nodded like nothing was wrong, like he wasn't breaking me in real time, and walked past me to wash his hands. And that's when I realized something. He wasn't just distracted. He wasn't just distant. He was comfortable. Comfortable lying to me. Comfortable hiding things. Comfortable knowing Camille was texting him like that. Comfortable betraying me. After that day, something inside me hardened. Not bitterness. Not anger. Just clarity. I started watching them, quietly. Not like a detective. More like a woman who finally stopped doubting her instincts. I watched how his phone was always on silent now. How he kept it face down. How he carried it with him, even to take out the trash. I watched how Camille seemed to know things about our schedule she shouldn't know. How she asked questions like she was trying to keep up with his routine rather than mine. I watched how they interacted when we were all in the same room. That quick flicker of eye contact, that tiny shared smile, that way their voices softened just a little when speaking to each other. None of it was loud. None of it was dramatic. Just wrong. Deeply wrong. Quietly wrong. Wrong in a way only the woman being betrayed can see. It was the following Friday when certainty finally settled into my bones. We were getting ready for bed. Darius was lying on his side with his back to me. His phone was charging on his nightstand. At around 11:47 p.m., his screen lit up. I didn't move. I didn't sit up. I just watched the glow through half-closed eyes.
Camille.
Again. This time, the preview showed more than usual. "I miss you." 3 small words.
Soft.
Intimate. Dangerous. He reached over quickly, grabbed the phone, and slipped out of the room like a man praying not to be caught. And in that quiet moment, while the hallway light spilled under the bedroom door, I accepted the truth my heart had been tiptoeing around. My husband was having an emotional affair with my best friend. Maybe physical. Maybe not. But betrayal doesn't need a bed to be real. Sometimes, all it needs is a secret. And they had far too many. Once those 3 words, "I miss you," lodged themselves in my mind, sleep became a stranger to me. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator downstairs, the tick, tick, tick of the hallway clock, and the muffled sound of Darius's voice drifting from the guest bathroom where he had retreated to take Camille's call. I didn't catch his words, just the tone.
Soft. Warm.
Tender in a way he hadn't spoken to me in years. And that hurt more than anything else. Because betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. By morning, I had made up my mind about one thing. I needed the truth. All of it. Not guesses. Not instincts. Not half-seen messages and late-night whispers. The truth. Because without it, I couldn't decide what to do next. So, I didn't confront him.
Not yet.
Instead, I became painfully polite.
Silent.
Observant. There's a strange calm that comes over a woman when her heart breaks just enough to wake up her mind. I moved around the house with that calm. I cooked breakfast like nothing was wrong. Cleaned the kitchen. Folded laundry. Answered emails for work. And all the while I watched him. His smile was tight. His eyes darted away from mine. He flinched every time his phone buzzed. He was nervous. Nervous men slip up. Nervous liars get sloppy. And I waited patiently for the sloppiness to start. It came sooner than I expected. That Sunday, Camille invited me out for brunch. Just the 2 of us. She chose a cute little cafe with string lights over the patio and a water fountain that trickled like it was trying too hard to be peaceful. She greeted me with a hug, her perfume soft and floral, the same one she used to wear only on date nights. "Mia, girl, it feels like forever," she said, smiling too wide. I smiled back, matching her energy, but not her lies. "Yeah," I replied, "it has." We ordered food, shrimp and grits for her, chicken and waffles for me. She talked the entire time.
About her job.
Her neighbors. Some new guy at the gym flirting with her. I watched her lips move, but all I could hear was the echo of her text notification from my dining table. Finally, after she finished rambling about nothing, she leaned back and said, "Is everything okay with you and Darius? He mentioned you've been quiet." My fork paused halfway to my mouth. He mentioned? To her?
About me?
I tilted my head slightly. What exactly did he say? "Oh, nothing," she said quickly, waving her hand. "Just that you seemed stressed lately.
He's worried about you."
Darius hadn't asked me once if I was stressed, but he was telling her he was worried. My heart tightened, but my voice stayed calm. "Tell me something, Camille," I said gently. "How often do you and Darius talk?" Her eyes flickered. Fear, guilt, calculation, then softened into something rehearsed. "Oh, here and there. Just checking in. You're my best friend. I care about you." She said it so easily,
So smoothly.
like she had practiced the line. I smiled slightly and sipped my water. She looked away. Her curls bounced as she shifted, suddenly restless. And in that tiny moment, that split second of discomfort, I knew her guilt wasn't imaginary. It was real. But I still needed proof. Solid proof. Something undeniable. And God. He delivered it the very next day. Monday morning, I was at home checking emails when I heard my phone buzz. I glanced at the screen and froze. A text from Camille. But it wasn't meant for me. "He left early today. I miss your hands." I stared at the message so long my vision blurred. Left early? He was still home when she sent it. He was in the shower singing a Luther Vandross song like he didn't have a care in the world. My whole body went numb. And then, as if guilt slapped her across the face, she sent another message immediately after. "OMG, MIA, I'm so sorry. That wasn't for you. Please don't jump to conclusions." I put the phone down. I walked to the bathroom door. I listened to the water running, the sound of Darius humming, oblivious. And I realized I wasn't numb. Not at all. I was awake. Fully awake. My heart wasn't breaking anymore. It was sharpening. I waited until he came out of the bathroom smelling like eucalyptus body wash and betrayal. He walked into the bedroom, towel-drying his hair. "Morning," he said, smiling at me. I held up my phone. "Who exactly misses your hands, Darius?" The towel slipped from his fingers. His face drained of color.
He didn't speak.
Didn't move. Didn't breathe. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't cry. Didn't crumble. I simply waited. He swallowed hard. "Mia, it's not what you think." "What is it?" I asked softly. He stuttered. Stumbled over excuses. Reached for me. Reached for my hand like touch could erase truth. I stepped back. "Don't lie."
Not to me. Not right now.
Silence fell between us. Heavy, sharp, final. "Finally," he whispered. "It just happened." Those 3 words. Men use them like band-aids on a bullet wound. Just happened. As if betrayal is a hurricane that rolls in unexpectedly. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of 10 years pressing against my ribs. "How long?" I asked. He hesitated.
How long?
He exhaled shakily. "A few months." That was it. The confirmation. The timeline. The betrayal. My best friend. My husband. Months. Months of lies. Months of secret messages. Months of intimacy behind my back. I felt something inside me shift from pain to purpose. Because knowing the truth didn't break me. It empowered me. I opened my eyes, looked him dead in his, and said quietly, "Thank you. Now I know exactly what I need to do." I didn't yell, didn't slap him, didn't beg for answers. I simply stepped around him, walked to the dresser, and started getting dressed. A woman doesn't need noise when she has clarity. There's a strange peace that wraps around you once the truth finally stands naked in front of you. Not relief, not forgiveness, just stillness. Like the moment after a storm when the air is too quiet, too clean, too sharp. That was me. moving through my house with a calm that scared even me. Darius watched me silently as I buttoned my jeans and tied my hair up. His eyes were wide, confused, pleading, like he expected me to collapse, scream, fall apart. But I didn't. I had no intention of performing my pain for him. When your heart has been disrespected long enough, even heartbreak becomes quiet. He finally spoke. "Mia, can we talk?" I slid my earrings in. "We just did." "That's it? You're just going to walk away?" I turned and met his eyes, steady, controlled. "Darius, you walked away months ago. I'm just catching up." His mouth opened, then closed. He didn't know what to do with this version of me. But I did. I grabbed my purse, my phone, my keys. Before walking out the door, I paused. "Camille will be hearing from me," I said. He flinched.
Hard. Good.
I didn't need theatrics.
I didn't need threats.
I needed precision. And betrayal. Betrayal has a way of sharpening a woman's instincts. As I drove away from the house, I didn't have a full plan, just a goal. I wasn't going to destroy them. I was going to expose them. And I was going to do it in a way that restored me, not ruined me. Because revenge without wisdom is just grief wearing makeup. I parked outside a quiet cafe on the west side, the kind with soft jazz in the speakers and big windows where the sunlight pours in like warm honey. I ordered a coffee I barely tasted. Then I opened my phone. Camille was still blowing it up. "Camille, please Mia, let me explain." "Camille, it's not what you think." "Camille, please answer the phone." "Camille, I made a mistake." I stared at the messages without emotion. Then I opened another app, one she didn't know I used. A cloud backup service Darius and I both had installed years ago. He forgot it auto-synced texts. Lord, the messages I saw.
Hundreds of them.
Late-night threads. Pictures.
Plans.
Secrets. But what struck me wasn't the content.
It was the timeline.
They didn't just happen. They eased into it. Compliments. Innocent jokes. Little confessions. Shared frustrations. Emotional closeness. The kind that creeps in when boundaries dissolve drop by drop. Reading it didn't break me. Oddly, it steadied me. Because I finally understood. They thought they were smarter than me. I left the cafe with a plan forming piece by piece. Not dramatic. Not violent. Not even cruel. Just honest. Exposing people with the truth is the sweetest kind of justice. It makes them confront the mirror they tried to avoid. First, I called my sister, Lonnie. She answered on the second ring. "Hey sis. Everything good?" Her voice alone cracked something in me. That warmth, that safety. "No," I said softly. "But I will be." And I told her everything. Not crying. Not shouting.
Just the story.
Straight. She didn't interrupt. Didn't scream. Didn't tell me to calm down. She simply whispered, "Oh, Mia, baby, I'm so sorry." I breathed in slowly. "Can I stay at your place for a couple days?" "You can stay forever if you want." That sentence alone gave me strength. But before I left the house behind, I had one more thing to do. I drove back home around noon. Darius was sitting on the couch, elbows on his knees, hands clasped like he was praying. He stood up quick when he saw me. "Where did you go?" His voice was tight, anxious. "To get clarity," I said calmly. "Mia,
I'm sorry.
I really am." "Camille, just stop." My voice was quiet but final. He shut up immediately. "I'm not doing this back and forth. I'm not begging you for respect you should have given freely." He looked like I'd slapped him, but I kept going. "I'm packing a bag. I'll be staying with Lonnie for a few days." Panic flashed through him. "Mia, wait.
Please.
Let's talk. Let's work on this." "I'll stop talking to her. I'll block her number right now." "You should have thought about that before you were sending her midnight secrets." The silence that fell afterward was heavy with truth neither of us could escape. He grabbed his head with both hands. "This wasn't supposed to happen. But it did," I said. "And now we deal with the consequences." He looked at me like he finally realized I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't threatening. I was done. Not divorced. Not hostile. Just finished with lies. I went upstairs, packed my essentials, and then did something I knew would tilt the first domino perfectly. I opened a group chat. A very specific one.
Me.
Camille. And her boyfriend. The man she claimed she was trying to work things out with. His name was Trevor. I typed slowly, steadily, without anger. Hi, Trevor. I thought you might want to know that Camille has been having an affair with my husband for several months. This morning, she accidentally sent me a message intended for him. I'm sharing this because I believe we both deserve honesty. Then I attached one screenshot.
Not all of them.
Just one. Just enough to tell the truth without drowning in it. And then I hit send. I didn't wait for her reaction. Didn't wait for his replies. Didn't wait for the explosion. I walked downstairs with my bags. Darius rushed toward me. Mia, please, just tell me what you're planning to do. I met his eyes. I'm not planning. I'm preparing. For what? For the kind of peace that doesn't include being disrespected. And with that, I walked out. Not broken. Not small. Not defeated. But aware. Centered. Focused. My revenge wasn't done. Oh no. This was just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even blink. I sat on the floor of my living room, the lights off, my hands shaking so badly I had to hold them under my thighs to keep them still. I kept hearing his voice. Those words. That confession that ripped something open inside me. I slept with your sister. It replayed again and again, but each time it sounded worse, like my mind was trying to destroy me on purpose. I didn't cry. The tears were stuck somewhere deep, locked behind shock and humiliation. By morning, my back hurt, my head pounded, and my mouth tasted like metal. But something inside me had changed overnight. A part of me had died. And another part, a harder, colder part, woke up. When the sun rose, it was like I wasn't even in my body. I moved slowly, deliberately, like I was walking through thick water. I picked up my phone.
Not to call him.
Not to call her. But to call the one person who never judged me for loving the wrong people. My mother. She picked up on the second ring. Baby, you're calling early. Is everything okay? My throat clenched. I swallowed. But the words came out cracked. Mama, he did something to me. And I don't know how to breathe. She didn't ask questions. She didn't panic. She didn't even beg me to explain. She just said, come home. And suddenly, I burst into tears so violently I had to sit down on the edge of my bed. The sound that came out of me didn't even feel human. It was gutted.
Raw.
Ancient. Like pain that had been waiting for years finally found its door open. I packed a small bag. Automatically. Just clothes. Toothbrush. Charger. I avoided the mirror. I didn't want to see what betrayal looked like on my face. When I stepped outside, the morning air hit me like a slap. It was too bright, too normal, too peaceful for what was happening to my world. I got into my car, but as soon as I turned the engine, my phone buzzed. Him. I stared at the screen as his name flashed again and again. He called. Then called again. Then a message. Please don't do anything crazy. I'm coming over. My chest tightened. I blocked the door from my mind. I blocked his voice. I blocked everything. And I drove off before he could arrive. She was already standing by the door waiting for me, a wrapper tied around her waist, face full of worry. The moment I stepped out of the car, she opened her arms. And I collapsed into them. I cried like a woman who had been carrying boulders on her chest for years and finally put them down. Mama held me like she could protect me from every heartbreak in the world. She didn't say, calm down. Stop crying. It'll be okay. She just rubbed my back and whispered, let it out. Let every bad thing come out. When I finally found my voice, it came out hoarse. Mama, he slept with her. She froze. Her arms stopped moving. She pulled back slowly to look at my face. With who? My sister. Her hand flew to her chest. Blood of Jesus. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't loud. She was shocked in the way only a mother could be, the kind that digs straight into your heart. She guided me inside, sat me on the sofa, and folded her arms. Talk. From the beginning. Leave nothing out. So I did. I told her everything. Every detail. Every lie. Every moment I ignored my own intuition. By the time I finished, Mama's face had changed. She wasn't just sad. She wasn't just angry. She looked disappointed in both of them, the kind of disappointment that feels like a curse. She stood up slowly. You will not shed another tear over a man who dishonored you, and certainly not over a sister who betrayed your blood. Her voice was steady. Too steady. Mama, I don't know what to do, I whispered. She cupped my face gently. First, you will rest. Then you will decide. Not from pain, but from strength. I nodded, but inside me, something dark, sharp, and powerful was starting to form. A hunger for answers. A hunger for truth. A hunger for justice. Because what they did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A choice that broke me. And I was going to find out exactly how deep the betrayal went. I slept at my mother's house that night, but it wasn't real sleep. It was the kind where your eyes are closed, but your mind is awake, replaying everything, dissecting every moment, remembering every single time your intuition tried to warn you, and you ignored it. By morning, the pain wasn't as sharp. It had settled into something quieter, something heavier, like a stone lodged permanently in my chest. Mama knocked softly on the door before she entered. You need to eat, she said. I nodded, but my throat was tight. Food didn't feel like something my body wanted anymore. My body only wanted answers. And revenge, that was starting to taste like oxygen. As I sat at her dining table, my phone vibrated again and again. It didn't stop. It buzzed until it felt like the sound was drilling holes into my bones. I didn't have to look to know who it was. Mama's voice cut through the buzzing. If you're not ready, don't answer. I took a deep breath. I think I need to hear what he has to say. Mama inhaled sharply but nodded. Just remember, closure is not always closure. Sometimes it's a trap. Her words sank into me like warm medicine. But I still picked up the phone. His voice came out broken. Baby, please don't hang up. I didn't respond. He kept talking. I'm losing my mind. I haven't slept. I keep imagining you leaving me forever. A tear slid down my cheek, not because I believed him, but because hearing his voice made my heart burn. How long? I whispered. There was silence. A long, terrifying silence.
How long? He sighed.
A small sound, but it stabbed me right in the chest. 6 months. My breath caught. 6 months. Not a mistake. Not a slip. Not a moment of weakness.
6 whole
months. Something inside me cracked, and this time, it didn't break quietly. 6 months. My voice rose. 6 months of lying to my face? 6 months of betraying my trust? 6 months of touching me while you were touching her. He started sniffing like a child caught stealing. I didn't plan it, it just. Don't lie, I snapped. You don't just sleep with my sister for 6 months. You don't just betray someone you claim to love. He started crying harder. I was confused. I was stupid. It meant nothing. I let out a bitter laugh. If it meant nothing, you wouldn't have hidden it for half a year.
Silence again.
This one felt like a funeral. And then he said something that flipped my entire body cold. She told me not to tell you. I froze. What did you just say? She begged me. She said it would destroy your family. She said you wouldn't forgive her. My hand began shaking uncontrollably. My ears started ringing. My heart didn't just break. It detonated. 2 people I trusted with my life. 2 people who knew every soft part of me. Had teamed up to lie to me.
To deceive me.
To destroy me quietly. I didn't even realize I was crying until the tears dripped onto my shirt. You both knew, I whispered. And you both chose yourselves. Baby, I'm sorry. Don't call me that again. The same bed, he touched her after touching me. I stood in that silent house, inhaled deeply, and whispered to myself. Nothing in here belongs to them anymore. This is my life now. He rushed out of the kitchen when he heard me. His eyes were swollen from crying. His hair was messy. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. "Leah," he breathed. I held up my hand.
Don't talk.
"Just listen." He froze. I stepped into the living room and leaned against the wall, calm but steady. "I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to scream. I'm here because I've realized something." He swallowed hard. "I don't need to punish you," I said softly. "You've already sentenced yourself. You will live every day knowing you destroyed the one woman who would have moved mountains for you." He closed his eyes, pained. "And her," he whispered. I nodded slowly. "You both will carry this shame longer than my anger could ever last." Tears rolled down his cheeks. I looked around the house one more time. "My revenge is simple," I continued. "I'm leaving you to face the truth about who you are, without me standing beside you to hide it." His shoulders shook. "I can change," he whispered. "Just give me time." I took a deep breath. "Change for yourself, not for me. Because I'm done trying to rebuild something you had no problem burning."
He broke then.
Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft, defeated cry, the kind that comes from the deepest part of a man who realizes he has lost something real. I didn't comfort him. I simply walked to the bedroom, picked up the last bag I packed days ago, and headed for the door. He followed me, voice trembling. Are you leaving for good?" I paused at the doorway. "I'm leaving for better. The gentle revenge." I told the truth, calmly. I didn't blast them. I didn't destroy their reputations. I didn't start a war. But the truth has a way of traveling on its own. When my aunt called asking why I wasn't home, I told her the truth. When his cousin noticed I wasn't at church, I told her the truth. When my coworkers asked why I changed my emergency contact from husband to mother, I told them the truth. Not with venom, not with drama, just calmly. That calmness did something they never expected. It made people listen. And the more people heard, the more the social consequences grew. Not because I forced it, but because people started looking at them differently. His friends stopped inviting him to game night. My sister suddenly found women avoiding her in group chats. People weren't cruel, just distant. Quiet judgment is a powerful weapon, and I never had to raise my voice. Healing begins slowly, quietly. A month later, I had moved into a small apartment downtown. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't spacious. But it was mine. The first night I slept there, I lay in my bed alone, staring at the ceiling. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. Not healed, but healing. I started going to therapy. I started journaling. I started cooking for myself, playing music, lighting candles, and taking long baths. Little rituals that made me feel alive again. One morning, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I looked stronger. Not harder, stronger. Life had carved something into me. A quiet resilience. A softness that knew its own worth now. And that's when the lesson fully settled in. Sometimes revenge isn't destroying the people who hurt you. Sometimes revenge is becoming someone they can never reach again. Months passed, and life began to feel like mine again. Not someone else's idea of mine. Mine. I started waking up in the morning and smiling without reason. I laughed at little things. I cooked meals I actually wanted to eat. I poured tea into my favorite mug and drank it while staring out the window, listening to the world move without me needing to control it. Some days were hard. Some days memories hit me in the chest like bricks. But every time, I reminded myself, I survived. I endured. I chose myself. I didn't reconcile with him. I didn't reconcile with her. And that's the point. Not everyone who breaks your heart deserves a second chance. Some deserve the truth to catch them like a shadow in the daylight. Some deserve silence and distance. Some deserve to watch the world move on without them. I started volunteering at the local community center, helping young women realize their worth before someone else taught them heartbreak. I joined a book club. I reconnected with friends who reminded me that love isn't only romantic, it's also laughter, support, and shared dreams. And every night, when I lay my head down, I whispered, I am enough. I am whole. I am free. The whispers grew louder each day. Until one morning, I didn't even need to say them. I simply knew. A lesson learned. Betrayal cuts deep. It breaks trust, shatters illusions, and makes you question every memory you held dear. But it also teaches. It teaches strength. It teaches dignity. It teaches that revenge doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. My revenge was quiet. It was dignified. It was real. I didn't humiliate them. I didn't shame them. I simply reclaimed my life. And in doing so, I found peace. So, here's my question to you, my friends. When someone betrays you, do you crumble or do you rise? Do you spend your life trying to punish them, or do you reclaim your power and let life itself teach them the lesson? Because here's the truth I learned. The greatest revenge is living well. The greatest power is choosing yourself. If you've been hurt, if you've been betrayed, if you've ever felt like the world is too heavy to bear, remember, you can rise, you can heal, and you can become someone even betrayal can't touch. Thank you for listening to my story. If you want more real-life stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and empowerment, stories that remind you of your strength, then make sure you subscribe to Voice of Mrs. Addison. I promise you, there's more to come, and together, we'll learn how to turn pain into power.